As soon as Vorden had entered the room and saw Quinn and the others, he tried his best to figure out what was going on. "Please sit down," Nathan said politely. Vorden sat down in the chair opposite the woman. While he was sitting, he would give the odd glance towards Quinn. He could see that Quinn had a worried look on his face, which meant something was going to happen that he wouldn't like. "Now, we're just here to ask you a few questions, Vorden. Simple, right?" Nathan said with a smile. "But I warn you to answer truthfully now, for our beautiful woman here can catch your lie in an instant." The woman then held out her hand for Vorden to touch it. "Did you have anything to do related to the death of the student named Earl Hampton?" she asked. Vorden didn't answer immediately because he was trying to think. The teachers had made one mistake before interrogating Vorden, and that was telling him the abilities of the female in front of him. Although Vorden was there, the same couldn't be said for Syl. Syl spent most of his time sleeping in the room or just sitting in the back, staring blankly in front of him. "If you don't reply, Vorden, we have to take your silence as a confession that you were involved somehow," Nathan said. "You have a question for me?" Syl said, pointing at himself. Even the woman was a little taken aback by the change in attitude, but decided to press on. She repeated the question and asked again. "No, I wasn't there," Syl replied. "I don't even know who this Earl is. The only person I know is Quinn," Syl said, pointing in Quinn's direction. The woman continued to ask questions that Nathan had presented, and Syl continued to answer in a naive, childlike manner. "He's telling the truth. Not a single time did either of them lie." Nathan then went to adjust the glasses on his face, a habit of his when he was stressed out. "Maybe we do have a beast roaming around the school." Nathan then looked at the two of them. His gut feeling was telling him something was wrong. "You two stay here for now," Nathan said. "We're going to keep you here for a while and pull up some people who were around the scene at the time, see if anyone spotted you there too." "Huh? But we already answered your questions," Quinn complained. "Look, if you're not guilty, then you have nothing to worry about, right?" Nathan replied. "All I ask is that you stay here a little longer." With that, most of the sergeants had left the room to try and gather more information. Right now, Faye was busy looking over some documents with the woman, while the two boys were sitting next to each other. But while doing so, Syl couldn't help but keep smiling at Quinn. Vorden, are you okay?" Quinn asked. Syl then turned his head to the left and right to check if anyone was nearby, before placing his hand over his mouth and whispered, "Oh, I'm not Vorden. My name is Syl." Quinn did not know how to react to this. He calmed down and started to think. Maybe it is an ability he copied before coming here, Quinn thought. A mind swap ability which allowed Vorden to fool the woman. "Vorden, you are a genius." "Nice to meet you, Syl," Quinn smiled back. "Thanks for helping us back there. We owe you one." "No problem at all," Syl said. He lifted his hand and started rubbing Quinn's curly hair as if he was a cute dog. "If you ever need any help, you can always call me." Inside the black room, Syl left the chair and walked away. Sorry about that. That was... Vorden started to stumble on his words. "That wasn't you, I could tell," Quinn replied. "Good thinking on the mind swap thing. For now, as long as none of us was seen that day, we have nothing to worry about." As the words left Quinn, he felt something fade away from his body. "What's wrong?" asked Vorden. Grabbing his chest, Quinn replied, "I think it's Peter. He is hungry. I can't control him for much longer. I'm already losing the connection." "But it was only yesterday that he had his fill," said Vorden, making sure to keep his voice down. "I know. Guess we are just unlucky. At this rate, if he doesn't get it every day, he will continue to starve. And I'm afraid when he is hungry, I can't control him as I did earlier." "Quinn, we have to get out of here," Vorden said, grabbing him by the hand. "I think Layla's in trouble." A beep was heard in the room as the door slid open, and in came Nathan. "Looks like we are in luck and someone found something," Nathan said with a smile. Inside the dorm room, Peter had eaten every single bit of raw meat he could find in the fridge, but it didn't help his hunger at all, and the pains in his stomach were starting to get worse. "Peter, please, you're starting to scare me," Layla said. He was now hunched over the floor, grabbing his stomach. "Layla, please, just leave," Peter shouted. "I can't. What if you go kill someone again?" "I would rather it be someone who deserved it than you," Peter said as he looked up at her from the ground. A few seconds later, everything that Peter ate came back up, along with some greenish liquid. "Peter, are you okay?" Layla asked, with a concerned look on her face. As Peter raised his head, his eyes were glowing a bright red. His two front fangs grew larger. They were sticking out over his lower lip now. He slowly got up from the ground and made his way toward Layla. This was it. She reached for the door and tried opening it, but a loud crash, as if someone had just broken glass, made her pause. Turning around, she saw the bedroom window was broken. Peter limped in the darkness towards the forest. The fall broke his legs, but even as he walked, they continued to heal. "I won't hurt any of you guys, I promise," Peter told himself. "But I have to do something to get rid of this hunger." A student came out behind the teachers, one that Quinn wasn't familiar with. However, Vorden knew him quite well. The student was Berg Sunshield. Now, Berg here said on the day of the event he saw a student running through the halls looking quite panicked, Nathan said, while everyone else was heading to the second-year building to see what was going on. A single student was running in the opposite direction. Coincidentally, though, Berg's description seems to match one of you, a curly black-haired boy. Vorden then started to laugh by his side. "You think Quinn did it?" Vorden said. "Come on, the two of them don't even share the same classes. Besides, do you know how many curly-haired students with black hair there are in this school? Well, you see, Vorden, that's why we brought him here, so he could confirm who he saw that day." That day, Berg had seen Quinn running through the halls. As soon as he entered the room, he recognized him, but seeing Vorden defend him so suddenly, like he knew something was up. "This isn't the kid I saw that day," Berg said. "I'm pretty sure it was someone else." "What?" Nathan said. "Are you sure? Come closer and take another look." Berg did as asked and stepped closer and looked at Quinn carefully, trying to act the best he could. "I'm sure it's not him," Berg said. "Do you mind if I go now?" "Let's call it a day. It looks like I've wasted everyone's time here for no reason," Nathan said. Quinn was unsure what had just happened. Perhaps Berg really did see someone else running through those halls and it wasn't him. But whatever the case, they were now free to go. Before leaving, Vorden turned and said, "Thank you, Berg, I owe you one." "Just remember this for the future," Berg replied. Outside, Peter was walking through the forest. He was no longer limping, as his legs were now completely healed. However, the pain in his stomach still hadn't disappeared. It was a strange feeling. He slowly made his way through the woods until eventually he had reached a pathway. Just as Peter was thinking of going through with his suggestion, he spotted someone walking down the path. His body wanted to lunge out at the person, but Peter tried to fight against it, staying in the woods. Suddenly, the person stopped and stood still. "I can feel your bloodlust from here," the boy said. "Come out, you ghoul, and tell me where the hell your master is." The boy's eyes glowed red in the dark as he stared right into Peter's eyes. Quinn and Vorden headed back to their dorm room, making sure not to walk too fast. They had finally arrived just outside the room, and when they opened the door, the first thing they saw was the broken window and glass shards all over the floor. "Huh? Where's Layla?" Quinn asked. "You don't think Peter already ate her, do you?" But if that was the case, Quinn would have gotten a message from the system, and also there was no blood to be seen in the room. That's when they heard a small little sobbing sound coming from one of the corners. "Oh," Quinn said with a sigh of relief, "you're still alive." "Where were you guys?" Layla said with an angry tone. "I can't believe you left me on my own. You know I'm not strong enough to deal with something like this." It was clear Layla had been given quite a shock. Quinn did his best to calm her down. Just then, Quinn wrapped his hands around Layla tightly. "It's okay, don't worry, Layla. I'm sorry about all of this. It's all my fault. I should have known better," Quinn said. The hug felt nice and warm and reminded her of her family. But what made everything even better was the look on Vorden's face. Layla thought that perhaps it was jealousy because she was getting closer to Quinn. But actually, Vorden was worried about Syl. Luckily, Syl was quietly sleeping inside the dark room and didn't get to see this scene. "Layla, you need to tell us what happened. Where's Peter?" Vorden asked. Layla recalled the events of what happened while the two of them were away. "If he's outside, I have to go find him before we have another Earl situation on our hands," Quinn said. "This is bad," Vorden said, "especially since they already suspect us. We can't deal with a situation like this right now. You two stay here. Worst case scenario, I have to use my shadow skill to hide. Besides, even if someone saw me, they won't know who I am." "Wait!" Vorden shouted. "I'm coming with you. If Peter is like Layla says he is, then you're going to need me. We're just going to have to go through with Plan B." Quinn didn't like it. He didn't like it one bit. Whatever happened, he didn't want to go through with Plan B no matter what. But right now, What choice did they have? Quinn, sometimes I think you're too nice for this world, Layla thought. After clearing away the broken pieces of glass, Layla decided to head towards her dorm room. Underneath her bed, she pulled out a little chest with a digital lock. After entering the authorization code, the chest opened, and she took out a sphere-shaped object. Pressing the top of the ball caused it to light up, and she waited for a few moments as the light dimmed in and out. "Hello, Agent 84. Do you have another report to give?" a female voice said, coming from the communication ball. "Yes, ma'am. I wish to give you an update on the report I gave you earlier. It turns out what I believed would be good for our cause is not so good for us after all. I will send you the full details later." "That is a shame to hear," the female voice coming from the orb said. "I hope you do get to enjoy your time left at the school and continue with the original mission. Also, on another note, Mr. True Dream will be visiting the base soon. We are unsure of which candidates will be selected this time, but don't worry too much if you are selected." "Noted," Layla replied. "May Pure be with you," the woman said. "May Pure be with you," Layla replied in a way that made it sound forced. "Quinn, I hope I'm doing the right thing not just for my sake, but for everyone's," she thought to herself. "Vorden, I'm going to go on up ahead. I think I got Peter's scent," Quinn said. "Peter's scent? What are you, a dog?" Vorden said sarcastically. But the next second, a shadow had gone to Quinn's body, and soon after it was replaced with a black figure, a mask on his face, and his beast equipment on his arms and legs. Into the night he sped away, rushing into the forest. The pain had gotten the best of him, and he was willing to do anything to get rid of that hunger. As Fex saw the ghoul leap out from the forest, he prepared himself by getting into a fighting stance. Then, at the right moment, Fex lifted his head off the ground and swung it outward like a whip, hitting Peter right in the center of his body. However, nearly instantly, Peter was standing up once again. A few of his ribs had been broken in the process, but they regenerated almost instantly. Is he starving? Now, who would be stupid enough to turn someone and not have everything prepared beforehand? Fex thought, not knowing how Peter came to be a ghoul. The more times it would heal itself, the more energy it would use. It was starving itself more each time it healed, and eventually there wouldn't be any energy left, and healing would come to an end. Peter came rushing forward once again, but Fex didn't look too worried. "I'm not into killing other people's family members. If I did, then it could start a civil war, and I don't want to be the one to blame for that." He ran towards Peter, and just when Peter was about to swing for his head, Fex ducked at the right moment. He dashed forward, not touching Peter, but swiping his hands around him in the process. This continued onward for a while. Peter would strike while Fex would dodge, staying close to him, moving his hands but not touching. Peter had fallen to the ground, and was now completely tangled and tied up in some type of string. "It's a shame. If you worked for me, I could turn you into a really good puppet. You're quite strong for a ghoul. It took more strength than I thought to slow you down." He then lifted Peter's head off the ground and looked into his eyes, casting some type of spell. "Suppress the hunger within yourself. Calm down." After saying those words, Peter felt something inside his body change. The hunger suddenly didn't feel as bad as before, and he was slowly starting to get a hold of himself a bit more. "I didn't create you, so the spell won't last for long," Fex explained. "Now tell me, which family do you belong to?" "What do you mean, my family?" Peter finally answered. "They have nothing to do with this. They're just normal shopkeepers. Keep them out of this." Hearing Peter's words, Fex felt like something wasn't quite right about this whole thing. However, he didn't have long to think about it. When suddenly out from the side, a big line of red blood was shot out, but what was most surprising to Fex was the fact that he recognized the attack. It was a blood attack that only other vampires could use. As Peter looked up, he didn't even recognize the figure standing in front of him. But of course, it was Quinn in his new suit. While moving closer to the mysterious figure, Fex made sure not to make any sudden movements. "Hey, I know you might just be trying to save this." Fex then looked at Peter, who was lying on the floor between them. "Human, I guess. But I think you don't understand. I've tied him up for your and everybody else's safety." As he got closer, Fex started to notice something, or rather, the absence of something. "Where's his scent? I'm not smelling anything from him," he thought. Quinn, on the other hand, had no clue of his suit's side effects. His #1 priority was getting Peter out of the situation and back to their dorm room. "Inspect. Name, Fex Sanguinus. Race, vampire." After seeing the information, Quinn froze for a bit. He had to reread it twice just to make sure what he saw was correct. Then a horrible thought ran through his mind. He remembered what the blonde vampire in the system had told him. Now that he was a vampire, they would come after him and be careful of them. It was too soon. Quinn didn't even know how strong he was compared to other vampires. But when Quinn tried to run away, something inside of him gave him a jolt. A force was pulling him towards Peter and refusing to let him leave. Quinn then fell on one knee, breathing heavily. "What is this?" Quinn asked. "It's your family bond," the system explained. "Similar to how Peter can never harm you as his master, you can never desert him." Skill Shadow Cloak activated. Right in front of Fex's eyes, his opponent had disappeared, and without giving off any smell, it was hard for him to locate this person. "Wait! You're a vampire! We're on the same side! Stop!" Fex shouted. Daze skill faded. After seeing Quinn struggling in hand-to-hand combat, Fex found everything quite strange. Does he not even know the basic martial arts? It was something all vampires were required to learn, but Quinn was throwing his punches out quite randomly. But then he also knew some advanced skills, such as the flash step. "Just get out of here!" Peter shouted. "Leave me! There's no point in both of us dying!" Once again, Fex was confused, but this time by the ghoul. If they belonged to the same family, the blood bond wouldn't allow one to be deserted in time of need. With nothing working, Quinn only had one choice. He threw out a blood swipe and caught it using his shadow control. With the scythe being held in his hands and his suit of armor and mask on, he truly looked like a Grim Reaper. "Is that the shadow ability? But that's been lost for years," Fex said. "Just who is this guy?" Suddenly, a beep was heard coming from all three of their watches. As they looked down, they noticed the time was 9:45. It was the 15-minute warning sound, telling them curfew time was coming. Running as fast as he could, Vorden desperately tried to catch up with Quinn, who was running in front. When he looked at the watch, the time stated that it was 9:45. This meant that they only had 15 minutes before curfew time. But for Quinn and Vorden, who were already suspected of perpetrating a murder, it would look suspicious if the two of them were out a night after curfew and didn't have a good reason for it. Knowing this, Vorden had no choice but to turn around and head back to the dorms. Seeing the message on the watch, Quinn started to panic. He didn't have time to rescue Peter. Once again, when Quinn tried to move, he was stopped by the bond. He tried to force through, but it was pulling him down to the ground. Fex could see something was up. Fex looked at Peter and had a little hunch on what the latter was thinking, but it wasn't something he could confirm right now. "Look, you aren't meant to be here, neither am I, so I won't tell anyone about you. I'll leave it in your hands, but if you need any help, then I suggest that you come to me." Soon after, a cloud of mist filled the air where Fex was once standing. After the mist started to disappear, it looked like Fex was vanishing away with it. "Is he gone?" Quinn asked. "That mist is a transformation spell," the system explained. "Most likely he has turned into something that allows him to pick up more speed." With that knowledge, a weight was lifted from his shoulders. But there was still another problem weighing on his mind, and he was soon reminded of it. Peter started to scream at the top of his lungs. It felt like he was being stabbed repeatedly in his stomach, and as his hunger grew, so did his strength. The tight strings that were once holding him down were starting to snap one by one. "Quinn, quickly, give him some of your blood. It will only be temporary, but it should calm him down as you have more control over him," said the system. Then, using the tip of his tooth, he bit down on his thumb, causing blood to be drawn. He walked closer to Peter, and after just taking a few steps, Peter lifted his head and turned it towards Quinn. Quinn then lifted his hand and started to squeeze the blood from it, allowing it to drip into Peter's mouth. Just like that, in almost an instant, Peter started to calm down. "How long will this last?" Quinn asked. "Long enough," the system replied. Placing Peter on his back and equipping his beast boots, he activated his wind walk. He no longer had any time to take it easy, so he ran as fast as he could back to the school without any intention of slowing down. Vorden had safely made it back into the room on time, and Layla had left long before to go back to her dorm room. In the kitchen, lay down on the table, he had gotten what looked like a meat cleaver. "Okay, Vorden, you can do this." Vorden then placed his arm on the table, laying it flat, while grabbing the meat cleaver with the other. "Here goes nothing." He swung it down, but at the last second, he stopped just inches above his limb. A thud sound was heard in the room, and as Vorden looked up, he could see that Quinn had arrived while bearing Peter on his back. The sound on their watches went off again, indicating that it was now 10 o'clock. A ping would then be sent to the security office, revealing the location of all those who were not located in their rooms at that moment. However, as soon as Peter had entered the room, the smell of fresh human flesh had entered his nose, and he once again succumbed to his crazed self. Quinn quickly held him down using all of his strength, but the struggle was tough. "Now is not the time to be hesitating," Vorden said, but once again as he looked at the meat cleaver and his hand, his heart started beating like crazy. "Ah, you big bastard, let me do it," Rayton said as he took control of the seat. Without hesitation, Rayton swung the meat cleaver down onto his arm. Unlike Vorden, though, he didn't hesitate one bit. "Here you go," Vorden said as he chucked over his arm towards Quinn and Peter. As Vorden's arm was flying through the air, Peter managed to overpower Quinn and push him off. Peter leapt into the air like a dog trying to catch the arm. It would have looked funny if it wasn't so gruesome. "Vorden, are you okay?" Quinn asked, with a worried expression on his face. "Don't worry, I'll be fine," Vorden replied with a little smile. "Guess we needed Plan B more than we thought." Vorden felt a bit strange, seeing Peter eating his arm right in front of him. Instinctively, he grabbed at his arm. He felt the part below his elbow was already starting to grow back. This made him sigh in relief. Luckily, the healing ability he acquired was already starting to work. "I hope this is going to be enough for him, because I don't feel like going through this again today," Vorden said. "It should be. When he finished eating, he will calm down a bit," Quinn replied. He was just repeating the words of the system right now because he wasn't sure of anything anymore. When Peter finally finished eating the arm, Quinn felt strange energy surging through his body. It felt the same as the first time Peter ate human flesh. Looking at Vorden, Peter noticed his arm was missing. With fear in his voice, he stammered, "Vorden, your arm. I don't know." Peter felt appalled with himself. "This thing?" Vorden said as he lifted his stump. "Don't worry about it. In a few hours, it will have grown back. This was our backup plan in case you lost control before we had found a permanent solution for you. Before coming back to our room, I went down to the canteen and copied the ability of a student who has regenerative power. We didn't expect you to be hungry so soon after you fed on Earl yesterday. Well, I guess we better get started with cleaning this place before anyone finds out what happened here," Quinn said. When Vorden was cleaning the kitchen counter, he said, "Hey, Quinn, you fancy a drink?" At the same time, he was squeezing some blood from a towel. Quinn was amazed at how Vorden could still crack a joke in a situation like this, but then again, nothing ever seemed to faze the guy. Since turning into a vampire, Quinn wasn't affected much by the sight of blood anymore. Even Peter eating Vorden's arm didn't bother him much. What surprised him was how well Vorden was handling it. While they were busy cleaning up, Quinn had the chance to ask the system some questions, because right now, he had a lot of them. "Do you know how long Peter will be required to eat human flesh?"
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.